Today, American TV host Tucker Carlson released an interview with Vladimir Putin that he'd recorded earlier this week. Now, it was the Russian president's first sit-down with a Western journalist since 2019. And of course, that was well before the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Take a look at a bit.
It was they who started the war in 2014. Our goal is to stop this war. And we did not start this war in 2022. This is an attempt to stop it.
Now, he's also called on the US to stop supplying weapons to Ukraine and says if that happened, the war would end in 2 weeks. Now, for reaction, let's cross live to Kyiv to Ukrainian Defence advisor Yuri Sak. Yuri, thank you so much for your time. Great to see you again. How does it feel to watch and listen to that?
Hello, Erin. Well, to tell you the truth, I have seen this interview long before Tucker Carlson even decided to do it, because during that interview, nothing new was said by the indicted war criminal, the leader of Kremlin. He just repeated all the falsities and all the propaganda lines that he's been using since the very first day of this unprovoked aggression against our country. It's an entirely unfounded version of history that Putin told to Tucker Carlson, and there's nothing new there. And it's a shame. It's a shame that freedom of speech is used to advance propaganda against peace and stability in the world.
Tucker's been very sympathetic towards Russia ever since they started this war, and yes, they started this war. I would have loved to have seen him, and particularly given he's been like that, I would have thought he would have pushed Putin in different ways, even if he felt as though Putin was right, just for the sake of doing an interview that was fair and that covered both sides. He would have challenged him. He didn't at all. In fact, take a look at this bit where he's laughing together like they're old friends. Have a look. Which I should be able to bring you very soon.
Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin.
No, that's not it, but we showed it to you at the start. If you were with us from 5 o'clock, you would have seen it. But Yuri, what about the kind of jovial laughing between them and the nature of the interview with someone who is a war criminal and a murderer?
Erin, we've had to deal with the similar issues in Ukraine because, freedom of speech is a value that is shared by all democratic countries, and we respect the right of journalists to seek out the truth and to tell it to the viewers and to the listeners. But at the same time, when bias is so obvious, and with Tucker Carlson and his position on Ukraine overall, we've seen it time and again that it is based on just falsities. He's not just doing his fact-checking. He's calling Ukraine a dictatorship. He's getting wrong his facts on the way we deal with churches in Ukraine, with national minorities in Ukraine. So it's just propaganda.
Can you tell me where you are up to in this war? What do you need? What's the next step for Ukraine?
Well, we are now going to enter the 3rd year of this aggressive war, and of course it's been tough. Most recently, we've had again missile strikes on all Ukrainian cities, including the capital. The situation on the front line is very heavy because of the winter season, because of the amount of artillery that the enemy is using, because of the changing nature of the war. The artillery systems are pretty much replaced by drone systems. So there's a lot of emphasis in Ukraine now on building up our own defense industry base, building our own naval drones, aerial drones, land drones. So we are revisiting our approach and trying to come up with a new strategy to go forward. And I'd like to, in this respect, say that, again, we've heard the discussion in Australia about the Taipan helicopters, and I don't want to go down too deep into this. It's the sovereign right of Australia to decide in which way it supports Ukraine. But let me just say, hey, if Taipan helicopters, which we wanted to receive for medical evacuation purposes. If that's not an option, we know that there are very great Bushmasters which can be used for medical evacuations. So we'd be grateful for anything. Because again, when you ask me what's the situation with the war, it's still going. There is no end in sight, and we need to be prepared for the next stages. And the support of our allies is crucial.
Absolutely. I know a lot of Australians were very disappointed with the decision not to give Ukraine those Taipans and to instead dismantle them and bury them when you guys are begging for them. Really disappointing. Yuri Sak, thank you so much for your time, and we're still thinking of you. I know that the world is not as focused on your war, but I saw today an update of, I think, nearly 10,000 civilians killed in Ukraine. So this is still very much a reality for you guys, and we are behind you.
Thank you. Thank you, Erin.